Action! Yo, what up, dog? Welcome to another episode of Esports Vikings Weekly. My name is Aspartami from World of Warcraft, and to my left we have...
Hi, my name is Papa Bonga, the best mage in World of Warcraft, period.
Nice, nice. So in today's episode we're gonna talk a bit about... We're
Too much karaoke this weekend, yeah.
We're gonna talk a bit about how to get better in video games.
Yeah,
how did we get better?
Did you?
I kind of did. I was pretty bad.
All right,
You were
decent, sure.
I was decent.
Yeah.
Like before or after I got better? It's
I didn't catch a question.
Tough question.
Let's just, Okay, serious mode on.
Okay, so why? You don't have to be serious.
A little bit.
Okay. Either way, so both of us kind of made our marks in World of Warcraft, which is it's not that sexy when it comes to like...
No, it's a bad choice.
Yeah,
if we talk esports usually and getting good at World of Warcraft, bad choice. But we did, so I think it's still, it's a game like any other, and the ways of improving are still, the same. So
yeah,
I think we're pretty good at answering questions on how to do that.
Yeah, so basically the initial idea of this episode is kind of like talk about our journeys and what it took to get to the point when we were at the top. Because even though our game was World of Warcraft, the same principle goes to every single game, kind of.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's pretty obvious, and we have a few questions we'll go through. And like you said, I don't think it's game specific at all. It's just getting better in general for any game, for sure.
Yeah, I think it all starts with understanding your kind of potential. So when did you realize your potential?
When I was born, bitch. No, seriously. I would say, kind of true for World of Warcraft to be fair, but all right. On a serious note though, Teemu, I would say, in World of Warcraft you play with a lot of people, and you compare yourself, at least most people compare themselves to their competition, or even though it's not really competition, it's your team, right? But yeah, it's still there. You want to perform, and obviously looking at that, I always tried to be my best self, and I wanted to beat the other players who played the same roles I did, or, all that kind of thing. And I think eventually I realized I'm probably better than most people here, so I could probably take a step up and play with better players. And it sounds a little bit like being arrogant or something, but at the end of the day, when you play together, or I played together with people for years, and it was obvious that, well, I could actually take one more step, and the step that I took was probably pretty big. But that's for me.
I think that's a good point that you raised by saying it might sound arrogant, but when it comes to any sport or esport or any like gaming, anything, you have to kind of understand your potential. You come to a point when you realize like, hey, I'm doing better than the people I'm playing with at the moment.
Sure.
And I actually might have the chance to take it onwards. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of when we get to... I think this is a pretty good question. When you realize that you have the potential to get better and actually try to reach the top, what are the three things that you did to improve yourself and your game to get to the top?
I would say this is a multi-part question, because first of all, it's one thing when you're new to the game and you're inexperienced, then you need to do certain things there, which I think is search for information, do research on what you're doing, how you can improve. There's always help on the internet. You have to be humble as well and realize there are people that might be better than you. Even if you have an idea, you can do research that helps you improve,
Yeah.
So that's definitely one. Another one is obviously, when you get to a certain point, you have to start focusing when you're actually playing, because for a lot of people in the beginning, a game can be, it's just fun, it's just there to relax, just have a good time, basically. But if you want to reach the next level, you also need to start focusing and, do your best in every single situation. And then I think there's like a third one where you need to analyze what you're doing wrong, and you need to be very honest towards yourself that, it's very easy to blame your teammates or blame somebody else or blame circumstances that you didn't perform or something happened. But you have to be really honest and look at yourself, how you can improve. It's not about anybody else. It's how can you improve? How can you get better? And those two first things with research and information on the internet is key in the early stages for sure. Then I think later on, as you move upwards, we come to more physical and mental stuff like that, which we can come into later.
Yeah. Well, basically with me, when we played together in Nihilum, I wasn't on my best at the time, but I was kind of getting there. And after my GPU lit up on fire doing Blackhand progress, which I still have not forgiven to my Acer.
I remember this because I got a few texts that were not very, very nice, but yeah.
But then when I wanted to, I had too much time on my hand and I focused completely on World of Warcraft. I started watching my own streams, like my stream VODs, to see my movement and that kind of stuff. That was like the first kind of step towards actually going to the top. The second one was analytics. For me, Warcraft logs, obviously. I was looking at the logs, doing research on my resource usage and how can I, like the smallest little things, analytic things. And what you said is being honest with myself, is that I noticed my mistakes and I kind of like, these are the points that I have to make better. And then the third for me was hand-eye coordination. And I started to play Audio Surf 2 to get my hand-eye coordination better, my mouse movement, because as you know, I've always been a healer. Holy Priest to be exact in World of Warcraft. And that's basically movement and never missing a single heal, because I have 20 people that I need to follow all the time. So hand-eye coordination via Audio Surf 2 helped me a lot, because that kind of made my movement and my mouse usage and everything to the to the state of perfection.
Sure. I think one thing there stands out for me, and that's watching yourself. I think today everybody has the ability through their computer to record their gaming sessions, and this goes for any game. It doesn't matter if you play World of Warcraft or Counter-Strike or Dota 2, League of Legends, whatever it is. Record yourself and watch it, because it's way easier to sit there relaxed and watch the footage and realize that you did a mistake. While you're playing, it's usually really hard to realize that, and that's why people resort to blaming others or finding, other reasons for if something went wrong, right? So watching yourself is a really, really good way, and I'm sure you know this as a streamer yourself. There's a lot of times there's a person, he comes in and he's like, oh, you did a mistake there, or why did you do that, And of course, they might be correct in that it was a mistake, but it's super easy to realize somebody else making it, or when you're watching a video, when you're playing yourself, you don't see the small details. So I think that's something that everybody can use. Beginners, intermediate players, or really, really good players. But I'm sure also, as to point out, if somebody is a really, really good player, they are probably already doing this. Because it's super, super important.
And one thing to add there is that when you're watching your own VODs, also watch someone who's better than you. So you see what they are doing, and then you watch yourself and you see what the better is doing better, what the better player is doing differently, and then you adjust your gameplay towards that. You find the small details that works best for you.
Sure. And I think also moving onwards, when you get to the point where you get better, right, and you maybe start playing with better players, sometimes it's really important. And it was for me personally, I realized even if I was better than my previous friends or my previous team, when I moved on, I realized I'm not the best player here. Far from it. But that's really important to be humble in that situation and realize that people are better than you. Watch them. What are they doing? If he does something you don't, question why. Maybe he's wrong, but most of the time he's probably correct. And you can learn from it. It's super important to watch, because there will always be somebody who's better than you.
Always.
At least until, let's say if there's not, then you wouldn't need this help. Then you're the best, But most of the time, almost always, somebody's better than you. Take their advice, watch them, learn from it, and try to obviously do even better. That was the situation for me, right? I played a mage in World of Warcraft, and when I joined Nihilum, there was players who were better than me, but I learned pretty quickly, and I tried to understand what they were doing, and eventually I would say I was better than most of them. Then there might have been, one special person. I won't even say his name. He knows his name. So he was better than me, but I realized why, and I tried to improve. I don't know if I ever reached the same level as him, but we were pretty damn close. So, that's really important. Learn from others. That's probably one of the best ways.
For me, because I've always been kind of like a one-trick pony with Holy Priest. I always played Holy Priest, and people wanted me as Holy Priest.
Sure.
Even when it wasn't the best option. But I was playing on a really high level that allowed me to stick with my character, kind of. And when was at the time when Holy Priest was not the sexiest choice to be, and that's when I actually started blooming. I got a lot of analytical help. So shout out to Niffer in Australia, who created a retarded spreadsheet that gave me every single mathematical detail about every single spell and movement. And with that spreadsheet and some discussions and then just endless amount of testing, I found myself at the level where I wanted to be. And now as we're talking on how to be able to stay on top, then we get to mental and physical health.
Yeah, I think
and well-being.
Definitely. When you have reached, obviously as a new player, just focus on the game. There's a million things to learn. But when you get to a point where it's just small details here and there, of course you should work on improving them, but you should really start thinking about what you mentioned, your mental health, your physical health, how you come prepared to your gaming sessions, do some warm up. If I would sit by the computer when I was playing on the highest level and just sit down, just start playing, that wouldn't really work for me, at least. Of course, people are different here, but warm up, and do something to get going and get your brain, into shape for it.
Here's what I did during progression, which progression during World of Warcraft to someone who doesn't play the game means that you might end up playing 10 to 16 hours a day, and that lasts from 2 weeks to a month, which is a really intense period. So what I did every morning when I woke up is I had a smoothie. I went to walk outside for 45 minutes just to get some fresh air, to get the blood flowing. After that, I took a shower. My meals during progression are not pizza and burgers, as a lot of people would expect, I guess. I ate salads, like light food that gives me a lot of energy, because that keeps my mind fresh. And whenever I had the possibility, I went outside for a bit, stare at woods or something, just to get off the screen, to keep your mind and body fresh.
Definitely, I agree on that point. And also, I think this is where a lot of people actually fail, because there's, in my mind, often two types here. The ones who play like we do, during the time, and they eat nothing. Yeah. That's one option. And then the other one is just eat junk food all day long. And obviously, none of them are good. And I think I belong to both of those categories at some point in my life.
Me too.
And eventually I just realized if I want to perform my best, it doesn't work. Like I sit there maybe I work for 3-4 hours, but the last 7 hours I can't perform at all. And also during the time that you're talking about, I was working 8 hours a day and I was playing for, 12 to 14 hours a day. So, I'm not going to recommend anybody doing that, but to be able to do it, I still had to eat properly. I planned my meals during work. I came home, food was prepared, and always before my gaming session, I would do push-ups, go out for a walk, just maybe run up the stairs when I came home. It's just something to get my blood flowing, and I think it's really, really important. And definitely for somebody looking at here, World of Warcraft is a very special game where it's intense periods. Other games are a long stretch, practicing. So there it's even more important, I think, to take care of yourself during the whole journey,
Yeah.
Definitely, I think it's key. And most people don't realize that before they actually do. It's like I didn't. I started eating really healthy, and that's when I realized, wow, this actually makes a difference.
It was the same thing for me. I lived the junk food life. Like, as you can see, And then towards the end, when I was at the top, I realized I started like, well, I go for a walk in the morning, and I'm like, damn, I feel so much better. And all these things apply to sleep. Sleep is the most important thing when it comes to this.
So, I just told about my story, I know. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't, like I said, really wouldn't recommend it because it really got to me. Like the last few days or almost the last week of those 2 very intense weeks, I was really, really not performing my best. And that was obvious.
Yeah.
So definitely sleep, food, and just mental preparation is super important.
And some sort of physical exercise, no matter what it is, but something that you enjoy, something that you like, and something that keeps you going.
For sure.
You know what? I think that's enough of World of Warcraft and for this week.
Sure. I would also like to add, obviously, we talked a little bit about guides and analytics and stuff like that. And, well, our website has some of that. So especially for newer players and players who wants to take the next step, you should really check them out. We try to provide our insight to the games, and we have somebody who's an expert in almost every single game we offer. So
yeah,
definitely, I think that's key, especially for new players. That is a very, very good start for anybody who's looking to improve.
Yeah. There's this button on the bottom right on this video thing that says subscribe, or tila in Finnish. What is it in Swedish?
Prenumerera, I think?
Yeah, that
I'm
thing.
not sure.
Anyway, you press that button, and then if you like the video, you can like it, and then you write a comment, and we will reply to your comment. It's the circle of YouTube life, as you know it. And we will be back with another episode in about a week from now.
See you in 1 week.
See you in 1 week. Adios.